Happy age of Aquarius, y'all. It's your girl Dewi here. I am founder of New Earth Luminary, which is a business movement that's really focused on creating and providing resources, community, and tools for way showing women and new earth architects to get their message out into the world, to really embody their sacred missions and to connect with others who are on the front lines of this global awakening. And I have a beautiful card I want to share with you that is definitely all about the age of Aquarius energy. And this is a card that comes from the deck Earth Warriors Oracle from Alana Fairchild. Her card decks, if you haven't seen them before, tend to be long-winded in wisdom. However, I'm really going to encourage you to feel into the description of what I'm about to share with the card that I pulled for this entire season, which will last us 20 years. I feel it's very relevant to allow a new way of being to come forward, especially for women and anyone who is interested in tapping into more of the divine feminine energy that is a hallmark, I believe, of these times that we're all seeing being anchored in as we speak through our own experience and through the collective. And so the age of Aquarius really is a time of individual experience within a group focus. And this is something one of my spiritual teachers said years ago, over a decade ago. It was always from a spiritual perspective of having an individual sense of responsibility. And I like to say sovereignty within the group focus. So that's such an Aquarian theme. And as such, individually, each of us has our own sacred missions to carry forth, to embody, and to express. And that is a big part of what I serve my community to step into more fully and really amplify and take to the next level, whether in your own backyard or on the global stage. And so I'm all about providing resources and tools and community and camaraderie and sister support around these topics so that we can really together co-create and amplify our messages and our voices and our beautiful connection as fellow beings walking the beauty way, walking each other home through these sacred missions of ours. And so the women that I support and the people in my communities definitely resonate with being a way shower and a guide. And there's a sense of being missioned and that you're here to fulfill this in this lifetime. And so one of the playful things I do from time to time is I'll pull a card to represent the energetic of really what we're carrying forward. So I'm going to read you the card that I pulled today from this beautiful deck called the Earth Warrior Oracle from Alana Fairchild, with beautiful art by a sister that I am connected with, Isabel Bryna. And she does amazing visionary art. You can see right here how beautiful her imagery is. And I pulled a card for Pluto and Aquarius. So Pluto officially moved into Aquarius in forward momentum. And this is from the Western tropical zodiac perspective on November 19th, 2024. It had been doing the dance between Capricorn and Aquarius for some time. And I pulled this card well in advance. It's been probably a couple months now since I really tapped into what was coming and what is now here and what we're anchoring in through our own experiences, right? And each of us is going to be experiencing the next 20 years within our own lens of our experience. And we can feel, at least those that I'm in communion with, we can feel this bubbling up of potentiality, of excitement, of like, wow, unity consciousness is here. Heaven and earth is here and now, and that we're able to bring that forward through our own divine work in the world. Leaky Leaks, you want to say hi? Liko's here with me. Through our own sacred mission work. And so this card that I pulled for us for Pluto and Aquarius is relevant for the next 20 years. So it's kind of the long, slow burn here that I am referring to in terms of an energetic way of being that we can really embody. And so this card is so appropriate for that. And you see why when I read it. Alana's books, the sacred wisdom in them is a little long-winded. So this video is probably going to go up to 20 minutes. It's worthwhile though to stick through. I'm going to read quite a bit from her deck verbatim, and then also give my own transmission kind of wrap up at the end. So please feel free to just take a moment to settle in and allow yourself to receive the wisdom and which pieces of what I'm sharing are really, feel within your own self, which ones are true for you, what feels true to you. If this card, feel into whether this card and this wisdom for the next 20 years could be something that would be beneficial for you. So here we go. From the Earth Warrior Oracle, and the art, Alana Fairchild is the author, and the art's by Isabel Bryna. So here she is, Nana Buluku. Nana Buluku. And the wisdom is she rests to create. She rests to create. So here we go, Nana Buluku. Your energy is a precious resource, and there are ways of being that can enhance, amplify, and replenish it. Give yourself sufficient rest, and you shall find the way forward more effortless. Explore the lifestyle that grows your inner resources rather than requiring constant exertion and exhaustion to accomplish an endless list of external pursuits. You need this shift in being now because you are ready to accomplish more. For this to take place, there needs to be less effort and more wisdom. Trust and value what can be achieved through rest. So before I go into who Nana Buluku is in the African tradition, Western African tradition, and give more of her backstory and go more deeper into this wisdom of this card as Alana shares it, I wanted you to consider how this may completely turn upside down on its head the way of being you may have operated in consciously or unconsciously, willingly or unwillingly, from this old paradigm of dominance and control, of haves and have-nots, of separation, of dog eat dog, meat suit in a machine. We have to fight for scraps and make sure that we are being diligent students and working for the man, and all of these kinds of ways of being that are so old paradigm that really have not served us in terms of our full. They've served us in a certain way, but not in terms of our coming into the full fruition of our full sovereign creator, creatrix power, to really own that it is our birthright to thrive, to shine, to be honored for our gifts, our wisdom and talents. And, there's so many ways that we have been programmed and indoctrinated through, well-meaning people like our parents or teachers in the past, or even, cultural norms and societal norms, through our peers, even through kind of the monkey in the barrel, reaching for, the person or the monkey that's trying to ascend and go through the top and do otherwise, like a black sheep monkey. And then, like that tendency to pull that other monkey's pulling them down because they don't want that monkey to, maybe out of fear for that monkey's life, or out of fear for what's beyond the barrel, so to speak. So this way of being, resting to create, is a very feminine principle, that our beingness alone is simply, quote, enough to bring peace, prosperity, and abundance and the beauty way that we are even more fully into fruition and form on our planet. And of course, the mind, even within myself, kicks up like, how is that possible? How could we possibly just rest and allow our creations to thrive and flourish when we're not doing anything? That's not really what I'm insinuating here, not to do anything ever. Really, it's allowing for periods of rest and renewal prior to creating, or as we're creating, as we reach milestones, rather than forcing and advancing at all costs. So I'll read more and we can break it down a little bit more. This says, in a reading, you have more than enough energy to bring the sacred visions held within your heart to life. An increase of energy and peacefulness is indicated. You are guided to choose high energy people, places, and purposes. High energy does not mean necessarily that which is highly stimulating, but rather that which regenerates you through peacefulness and joy. Give generously to yourself to be able to give generously to others. You have unusual ideas or ways of being that suit you but may not suit others. Work with what works best for you without trying to force yourself to conform. This approach brings well-being and creative success. So spiritual guidance, this is the next part of the deck's explanations. Nana Buluku is the grandmother creatrix, the supreme feminine creative principle of West African myth. Let me show you her again. She created the universe, then rested. The intersection of rest and extraordinary creative power is repeated in numerous spiritual traditions from cultures around the world. This theme is also present in the lives of inspirational innovators in disciplines ranging from the confident of the fulfillment of your life purpose and the heart-inspired plans. This theme is also present in the lives of inspirational innovators and disciplines ranging from the sciences to the arts. When you are boldly ambitious and creatively confident of the fulfillment of your life purpose and heart-inspired plans, it may seem that rest is the last thing you have time to do, for there's so much to be accomplished. Yet the conscious use of deep rest allows us to connect closely to divine creative genius. Taking time for renewing stillness can allow us to work smarter rather than always working harder. Aho, Nana Buluku. So what would it be like for us to schedule in, if we wanted to work with a schedule, or intuit in as needed and as a part of a natural cycle of creation, rest, recovery, listening, at ease time? Imagine if the entire humankind took this way of being into account. And I believe that within our lifetimes, those of us who are privileged and blessed to be incarnated at this time, that within our lifetimes, within the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we will see an entire dissolving of all of the systems and ways of being that have permeated all aspects of society, most aspects of society and culture, mainstream Western culture, especially, and even in Eastern cultures and indigenous cultures, been affected by this idea that, you only live once, YOLO, so make the most of it, exert yourself, and effort your way to, quote, success. And that's a very masculine way of being. up until now, and masculine out of balance way of being. And many of those of us who tend to more of the feminine frequency and feminine way, that is a way that we have embodied and taken on and postured up in, even as it felt out of sorts or burnt us out or led us to getting sick, out of balance. I know I've personally had an experience where I was efforting and forwarding and, not really listening to the inner nudges from within my own body and my own experience outwardly, even mirroring to me like all these perceived quote roadblocks and barriers that I was coming up against, and didn't listen or take pause to see how I could really integrate the learning and the messages being presented to me. And as such, I made myself sick. And this was after 5 years of going through a second master's program that I felt like obligated to do, and that I quote should finish because I had started it and put all this time and energy and effort into, and uh, got up to the point where I was about to turn in my thesis, and I was not making the requirement of the book binding of the thesis to spec. And there were 2 times it got denied. And on the third attempt to get it bound with a third publisher or third printing house, and when they told me they weren't going to be able to do what I was supposed to do to spec to bind this book, because there were some media like DVDs that needed to be bound in with some sleeves with the book. When they told me they weren't going to be able to do it, and to like tell you what led me to that point, where how much effort I had put in to even get to that point, to get to this third publisher at the 11th hour, where I needed to turn this thesis in, which had already been approved, by the way, from a content perspective, but from a spec, like how to bind it perspective, it had not. And when I realized that it was not going to be possible with this third attempt, I basically collapsed and got very ill. And this was around the time of the holidays, and just completely had to ditch the project for some time before I did come back around, after having that spaciousness to really reflect on whether or not I even wanted to complete this program and this project. And so I say all that to share that in this new way of being, in this new earth paradigm reality that we're choosing, that never has to happen. And maybe it does, in order for us to have this a zigzag transition into different ways of being, because we keep experiencing what we experience until we don't need to, or aren't, have learned the lesson or integrated the lessons. And so, we can completely learn from all of the ways we've been out of balance in the past, and really integrate them here now in this now moment, by incorporating this way of being, resting to create, and knowing that when I rest, when I decide in the middle of the day to go take a nap, that this is time for me to do rejuvenative practices, to allow my body to recalibrate, to really allow all of the upgrades that are happening that I don't even know about within my body and within my psyche and within my whole auric field, because that is a hallmark of this time as well. There's like a lot of sun codes and crazy space weather things that have unprecedented, never happened before. Our earth is up vibrating as well. The Schumann field is definitely shifting as well. So it affects us. We are all one with our environment. And so why not honor that and give space and co-create our lives in a way where we normalize this way of being? So I'm going to leave that with you today. I would love to hear in the comments what landed for you and how you would like to integrate this into your life. And also, how do you rest and restore? What are your rest and restore practices? And going forward from this now moment on, are they serving you? Would you like to keep them going? Maybe there's new things you would like to try. And by simply stating the intention and being focused on, this period of rest is for me to recalibrate and get return to my own homeostasis within myself after, especially after a period of really efforting and bringing something and birthing something into life. Every time a mama gives birth to her newborn babe, she is in recovery after that. There's a postpartum reintegration process where she needs nourishment, she needs to replenish and restore. So, in the same similar manner as we birth things into the world, whether they're children or our creations, we need those periods of replenishment and restoration. So, thank you for listening. And I would love to um, bring in this piece here. I've recently had a bunch of conversations with New Earth way showing women, and I am gifting these conversations to anyone who wants to be inspired by these stories of awakening. And some of them are distinctly powerful transmissions to help us calibrate to these times, to integrate more of the beautiful, sacred uh, mission work that we're here to do. All of the women who I hand selected and curated to be a part of these conversations are beautifully, in their own ways and on their own points of their journeys, bringing their own divine sacred mission in work into the world through their own inner practices and personal practices, and then with the communities and people they touch. So you will receive a lot of value from tuning in, and you will have access for life, so you can listen into a conversation whenever you'd like. They are not available publicly. So this is a way you can also come into my world and receive value from being a part of my community, and also learn about these other beautiful women and join their communities as well. And each one has a gift that is listed in the description of each of the videos. So you can go ahead and connect with more amazing